Thank you for joining us again this week for No Driving Gloves. I'm not ready to start yet.
I see that. Or I hear that.
We don't have our normal little quick joke
need the
thing
intro
to put
music?
me in the mood so that I can go launch into this.
You want me to do it?
for another
I-
exciting episode
No, I
of No
got it.
Driving Gloves with Will,
Sure.
Derek, and John.
Get ready to ride along for another exciting episode of No Driving Gloves, where Derek, John, and Will use over 75 years combined industry knowledge to bring you a bare-knuckled view on the collector car hobby. So let's get rolling. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again this week for another episode of No Driving Gloves. As that intro and probably the blooper reel just told you, you've got Derek, John, and Will, again, as you were just informed. How are you guys doing this week?
It's not Monday, so I'm doing all right.
I'm doing fine. I'll be doing even better if you actually cut the blooper reel from this week's.
No, you can't. You can't. I love you. You got to keep the motor noises in there. Vroom.
So now that we're through that Thanksgiving holiday, hopefully we all been out in the shops working and losing some of that turkey weight that we all gain over Thanksgiving. We're going to go into Christmas. Just in case any of you are wondering what to buy for your shop friends, car guys, car girls, just some ideas. As we
For
said,
yourself.
as we said in the last episode, we're going to do a little bit of promotion, give something back for the holidays. We're doing a series of $10 Amazon gift cards to randomly selected contributors to our social media pages. And we had quite a few. It actually livened up some of the chat on the social media this week. So stay tuned to the end, and we'll announce the winner. The gift cards will be awarded, or the gift card will be awarded for this week at the end of today's episode. Same thing will carry through to next week. Just go ahead and comment, like any of our posts and stuff on Instagram or Facebook. Our Patreon members are automatically included into any giveaways or contests that we do. Just kind of a way of thanking them. But this week we're going to hit that Christmas list. We've all picked out a few different items. Some are on Amazon, some are very obtainable, some might cost as much as your car, I think. But these are things all of us would love to have in our garage, or actually, I think most of us are experienced and have had some of these items in our collections or in our garages. All of us use them. Some of them are, tools. Some of them are just shop accessories. And I'll go ahead and go first. And one thing I added, I don't have a typical shop at my house. I've got my garage that's kind of for cars and a little bit of storage. But as we've mentioned before, I do a lot of woodworking and maker creating. One thing I added to my smaller shop where my recording studio is and my turning studio is with my wood lathes and such is it's on Amazon. It's called a RAN solar powered attic fan. It's like 8 watts. The thing's maybe 10 or 12 inches in diameter. Cut a hole in my roof. Took about hour and a half to install. And what this thing did for me over the summer in Alabama is it's on the sun side of the house. So this little fan, as soon as the sun touches it, starts spinning, spins all day long, and then turns itself off at night. I don't feel bad. And this little thing dropped the temperature in the 10 by 16 building that those two studios are included, probably about 20 degrees on average. So when I came home after work, I didn't have to turn the air conditioning on and start in a sauna. It was actually, after that happened, it was pretty reasonable. I put the thing in June, and so it lived through July and August and such. It's a little chintzy. It might burn itself out in a year or two. I don't know. It's got like a 3 out of 5 star review on Amazon. But frankly, I really, really like it. It's like $65. And like I said, a couple of hours, it's installed. And just a way to kind of ventilate and keep some air circulating in your, small shop or garden shed or anything like that. You got a place you keep your lawnmower so that it's out of the garage, away from the cars. Pop one of these things in my opinion, and it'll probably, it'll treat that vinyl seat on your John Deere a little bit better. Who's next?
I'll go. Sure, why not? One of the things that I've been actually looking at for myself here lately that I've been wanting to get is a louver punch. Mittler Brothers makes probably the one of the best ones, and it's really actually pretty affordable. They have a 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 3 inch dome, a 4 inch dome, and each one of them's about 475. I mean, most people, a 3 inch louver, you can pretty well put in anything, and just whether it's an inner fender letting heat out, or you want to louver your deck lid on your hot rod, or your roof skin, or your hood, or whatever. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at. I don't have a review for it. I don't have one yet, but I'm thinking seriously about getting one in the very near future. And when I get one, I can definitely let you guys know how it works out. But from the past, anything I've ever bought from Mittler Brothers has exceeded my expectations. Whether it's a bead roller or a power hammer or planishing hammer or anything like that. I don't personally have a Mittler Brothers planishing hammer, but I've used one. They're pretty nice. I have a one of their billet aluminum bead rollers, which gets used about every day. And we just recently bought one of their power hammers, which is like a Yoder type hammer, and it for surely gets used every day. As far as their quality, it's second to none. It's all made in the United States. Nothing is shipped overseas or comes from overseas. Everything is made in their plant right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. So, a big fan of Mittler Brothers. Probably going to get one of their 3 inch louver punch sets in the near future.
We've got one of the Mittler Brothers bead rollers in our shop also, and it's a really nice piece of engineering. I mean, it looks sturdy. It is sturdy. We don't use it nearly as much as I'm sure you guys do. Really, it's not that expensive either for that piece of equipment. I know the louver press is probably, or louver punch is probably a little bit more stout in its price tag, but
Well, the louver punch is only $475.
ooh, I was thinking four
So
figures.
that's no, 475 for the 3 inch. Now that's just the die set. You have to make something to make it work. It comes with plans on how to build your own stand or whatever you call it. But yeah, that's just the dies and the startup kit. Most people, I mean, if you don't have the ability to cut and weld some stuff, probably be a little more expensive to get the whole louver set up with the press and everything. But I'm pretty sure if you have just a normal hydraulic press in your shop, then all you should need are the dies.
I look forward to hearing your review on that. I never thought of using the hydraulic press for that, but that would be a simple thing. Couple, good hydraulic press and those dies, and you'd be out of it for under $1,000 with quality tools on both ends.
You can go to Harbor Freight and buy a pretty decent press. I mean, that's where my press come from, was Harbor Freight. Granted, we don't use it a lot and we don't use it for heavy stuff, but I've had it for 8 years and have never tore it up. I mean, it's just a freaking bottle jack with some framing around it. I mean, that's all it is. It's not that hard to figure out.
And we've got a multi-$1,000 OTC one, and it's pretty much a metal frame with a bottle jack. So
Yeah. So, there you go. There
nothing,
you
nothing
go.
against OTC, but when I had to have the buy pumps and everything to rebuild it, it really looked tempting to go to Harbor Freight.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Derek, your turn.
Oh, my turn. Well, this is kind of funny because you guys are both talking about, basically venting things. John's got a vent for his garage. Will's cutting louvers to, vent air out of the under the hood of a car or anything like that. I guess my first thing's more about keeping things in. It makes a really great Christmas gift too. I actually kind of bought a set of these for myself for Christmas about 4 or 5 years ago, I guess now. But WeatherTech floor mats, and therefore, obviously not working on vehicles, but therefore inside your vehicle. And I got them for my F-150 shortly after I got it, and I love them. Everybody, I'm sure, is aware of. They're able to be custom made for vehicles. They laser measure everything like that, and they basically drop right in. I mean, the carpet in my truck when I bought it, it only had about 18,000 miles on it. So the carpet pretty much looked brand new. It's been basically 5 years since I bought my truck. I can pull those out and the carpet still looks brand new underneath them. I got these when I lived in Cleveland. So I was dealing with all four seasons, spring, summer, winter, fall, everything from mud to snow, salt, everything like that. They just kept everything in. They kept the carpet clean. I pull them out every time I wash the truck, vacuum the carpet underneath. There's no stains. And if most of our, or some of our listeners, I know a few of them, live up in the northern states, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, salt, and John, you know this, salt in your carpet is the worst thing. Uh, it pretty much leaves a lot of times almost permanent white stains in the carpet because you can't vacuum it all out. You can't get it thoroughly washed out. And I really like my WeatherTech mats. So that would be one thing that got another vehicle. It would be awesome to get a set of them for Christmas from somebody I knew, family member, or something like that. Or like I did the first time, I'd go out and get them for myself for Christmas. Either you guys have WeatherTech?
What are floor mats? No, I don't. I don't have WeatherTech floor mats. My dad actually has a set in my mom's Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it's nice when you're taking the grandkids places and stuff like that, and they spill something, and the way they kick up on the edges is really nice. If you spill something in the floor, it's not going to just run all over the carpet. It kind of stays contained, and whether you take them out and dump it out or just soak it up, whatever. So that's a big benefit on my side with the WeatherTech.
Yeah, the sides that come up and make it like a tub that's awesome. That's what I really love about them. Is
Yep.
just like I said, they just keep everything in, and you just pull them out and dump them on the ground and spray them off with some water, and off you go again. Unlike those fantastic, carpet floor mats that new cars get. I don't know. I don't get that. Why would you put a carpet floor mat? At least they used to be rubber back in the day.
I want to go back and say something about this louver deal. They have what they call the startup kit, which comes with one set of dies is $775, and that comes with the die holder that you could put in your press or whatever you need to do to make it work. So for $775, you can get the die holder, is what that is. So sorry about that.
No, it's all right. We'll just jump all around, throw the show off, get off our, schedule, and just mess it all up. That's all right. That's cool. So come on, John. What else do you want for?
I bought these for work, and I'll go ahead and say it because they kind of keep the boss's voice out of your head. I bought a set of the IsoTune, what they call Pro Noise Isolating Bluetooth earbuds. They're actually OSHA approved. They're the only earbuds that are OSHA approved for this. They're now available in orange and black. They give you about a 27 dB noise reduction if you get them set up just right. They work with your phone, so you can use them as a Bluetooth headset in your car if you've got an older vehicle that doesn't have the hands-free Bluetooth in it. They excellent sounding when it comes to music or listening to podcasts all day at work. Nice in the shop. It's just they're not Bose noise canceling. They call them noise isolating or whatever. So there's no active. They just do a really good seal on your ear. They don't totally make you deaf to the world, so you can hear if somebody gets hurt or somebody's yelling at you. But you do have to take them out to have a conversation. At least if you've got ears like me. And these things are like $69. Very small, very compact. I don't know if I've ever picked them up and the battery's worn out on me in a day. They claim a 10-hour battery life, but I actually think that's a little underrated. A noise canceling mic. I sound better on those when I talk to people on the phone. I'm told, as compared to the Bluetooth hands-free and both of my daily driver vehicles. Just overall, they're really nice. Being OSHA compliant means you can wear them at work in place of hearing protection. I don't think they're as good as, say, the earmuff things that totally encapsulate your ear. But for a nice thing to, again, to have the Bluetooth, to be able to carry on a phone conversation while working, to have them in the car if you need them, or you get in a car that doesn't have Bluetooth. Occasionally I'll get into work cars and drive somewhere, and I'm not going to connect my phone to one of our company cars for the hour I'm in it so that I forget to connect it. And, my luck, my boss will get in it, and I'm probably talking bad about him on a phone conversation, and I'll be close enough the Bluetooth will pick it up. So I just think these are just kind of a nice thing. It goes along with transferring from. Will, you got another one? What's Santa going to bring you?
Well,
He's going to bring you a well?
yep, a money well.
That's a deep
Just
subject.
dip the bucket in there and and money comes, just hops in your bucket and bring it up. So that's what I'm asking for anyway.
Yeah. I always get asked at work, will I order a big sack of money from McMaster-Carr because they have everything. And unfortunately, they ask like 3 times the value. You get a big sack of money, you get $1,000, but it costs like $3,500. I don't get it.
Now, can I ask a question real quick, Will? And John, maybe you can clear this up for me.
Sure.
You were talking about a money well. Is that the same thing as a money pit? Because my dad's told me before that some of the cars I decided to buy are money pits, but I never get any money on.
No, it's the direct opposite. A
Oh,
money well is like a money tree, except you throw your bucket instead of getting water, you get money. Yeah.
I'm going to do the classic car education here when it comes to restoration. Money pit is the guy that restores the car.
Yeah, that pays to have it done.
Yes, I've always said if you can make 25 cents on the dollar when you sell it, you won the game. The money well is the guy that buys the restoration that somebody else paid for.
That's right. You're right. You're exactly right.
There's your classic car tip for this week.
Now, the next thing on my list is there's a company called Faircloth Machine, and they're making a hammer called the Mech Hammer. I can't remember Ben's last name, but a guy, Ben he may be, I think he's from the UK, actually designed it. He's a extraordinary metal shaper. And the cool thing about this, they call it a planishing hammer, but it'll do a lot more than just planish welds. You can actually put beading dies in it. You can tip edges with it. It's got the third arm for getting into really really tight uh, spaces, and it's electric. It's not air operated, so to me that's freaking awesome. It's a lot quieter. It's beefy. It's got a ton of adjustments. They have a lot of dies for it, a lot of linear stretch dies, and you can actually do some pretty serious shaping with this hammer as well. I would use it more for a planishing hammer, but it would be there for some light metal shaping on aluminum and flanging and stuff like that. So another cool thing about it is it don't really clamp the panel down. So it's it's easy to move, easy to work with, and for a hammer like that, it's to me it's a pretty good value. Um, just the hammer is $5,500, and for another 1,000, you can pretty well get every die that comes with it. So $6,500. If you're a at home metal shaper, or wanting to build some panels for your own car, some floor pans, this would be an awesome addition to the home shop or a professional shop as well. A good value for what for what you're buying and what this machine has the capabilities of doing for you. That's my second one.
so you're basically just getting a bunch of stuff for your shop.
Well, I mean, I'm recommending good things for people to buy for themselves that I would buy for myself.
No, my next one, although my first two here are things I already have, and but I wouldn't mind, like with the WeatherTech, like I said, if I got another vehicle, I'd love to have a set for them. The next one I'm going to talk about, I already have some, but yeah, if somebody was to want to give me more of these for my shop here at home, my garage here at home, I would not mind one bit. Of course, after the big move from Cleveland down here to Kentucky, I had to move all my cars, all my tools, bring everything down. And at previous garages I've had at my houses, I never really had much of a organization system of any kind. I had my toolbox, I had little cabinets I've picked up here and there or something like that, but nothing really, really nice. And my wonderful fiance decided after we moved here that it was time that my garage was a little bit organized, and it's likely because she likes to have an organized life. And when she walked out in the garage, she realized it was quite disorganized and it probably shouldn't be that way. But we went and started looking around and decided to buy the Gladiator garage kind of system. You can buy different cabinet sizes, different shelves, different rails and hooks, things like that to organize all the different tools, all the different materials you have. I mean, even down to garden tools, things like that. And we bought a number of the cabinets and set them up in the garage here. And I love them. They give me a lot of extra space. I can organize. I bought some of the wall decking, or I guess wall rail system, and that can you can kind of move the cabinets around and put different hooks and things on it to hang different things at different times, and set that all up in the garage. And it made for a lot more space in the garage than I had before I had that system, because I was actually able to put stuff away. And in doing that, I was able to also find things and not have to ask for things that I already had for Christmas on my list. So I actually know where my tools are now sometimes, rather than guessing where they are in the garage. But I will say that of all the homes I've owned and all the garages I've had over time, having a home organization system like this Gladiator system, I enjoy it. And like I say, if my fiance or my parents or my sister or someone, hint, hint, if you guys are listening, wanted to buy me more of that, I would love to have more to organize more of my garage. So that would be kind of next on my list, even though I already have some of it.
Now that system you just got, did you do measuring and go in and buy cabinets to specifically fit a space, or did you randomly buy some cabinets and make it fit? I've seen those. You can lay out your shop like a kitchen and get everything specific to location, or
I mean, basically, what I did is I knew the two walls I wanted to use in some layout, in some fashion, and the space I wanted it to be in. And then I basically just went online, looked at all the different sizes they had, and kind of did a rough actual layout on a piece of paper of how I closely would want it laid out, and then figured out which cabinets fit where, what the best layout I thought was going to be. When I finally made the decision that that's pretty close to how I wanted it, bought the cabinets, and then got them home, got them built, installed them. And I think two cabinets might have flip flopped as to where I was putting them, but got pretty close. And that's the nice thing, is they have so many different sizes of the cabinets that if you do have weird spaces, or you're as particular as although my organizational skills in my garage aren't the best, when it comes to actually building something and putting something together, I get fairly particular. And it was very easy to figure out what would fit, and then just determine exactly what cabinets I wanted for the type of stuff that I have in my garage.
Yeah, it covers that. I was just kind of wondering how that laid out, and I'm quickly looking at some of the stuff here online, and they seem to offer slat walls and just about anything you want, accessories for the slat wall, all kinds of fun stuff to have. And I'll say I've brought it up on the podcast here lately. Is this whole summer for my quote wood shop podcast studio creator space has been spent organizing, getting electrical run, making this shop finally function after being here for a few years. And now I've got this 12 by 54-foot long shop that I've actually started to produce things in lately, which will roll into my next recommendation. And this is something I've wanted for a long time, a couple of years. Really started about a year and a half ago, 14 months ago maybe, researching, picked out the one that I wanted, and this really to me became one of those. There's a saying, especially in the woodworking community: buy your last tool first. So if you're going to buy a table saw, you buy your 3 horsepower saw stop, or your Delta Unisaw, or your Powermatic 44. You buy that last tool first. I disagree with that statement in that maybe you buy your last tool second. You need to buy a basic tool to learn what the tool does, so you know what you want the tool to do. And I've been researching 3D printers now for over a year, and I've had my eye on a very specific one, very specific model. This week I decided I think I should buy my 3D printer. And this goes back to I finally have the shop done, and I've got some clean spaces, and I'll have a place to put this item. The thing is, as I sat down and I started looking at it, and the one I was looking at, it's $900, but is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? And then there was one available on Monday, Black Friday sale, and at the time it was $154. Very basic, and it's amazing what it'll do. I don't know what it'll do, but I said, for $154, I can put this thing in my house. I can use it for a few months. If it blows up after a few months, I'm only out $150, but I'll have 3D printed. I will have become familiar with a little bit of the design software. I'll know what feed rates are. I'll know the differences between PLA filament and ABS filament. And some of these terms are going to be beyond you if you haven't looked at 3D printers. But I've just wanted one. I see times that we could do something at work with it, but work has a lot of the philosophy of that buy your last tool first. And when you're looking at $10,000 3D printers, that technology changes weekly. This week it can print titanium. Next week it can print, some other unobtainium metal. And we don't want to buy something that's going to be obsolete. But when you're looking at this sub $1,000 3D printer, I've watched, and it was the XYZ DaVinci's 3-in-1 Pro that had a scanner, the printer, all built into it. And I'm going, well, maybe I don't need that. So I went ahead and bought the Monoprice Select Mini version 2. Regular price on this thing's $220. So it's something you can pop into your house quick. It looks fairly simple to use. It's not going to make usable parts. It's not going to make finished things. But if I can maybe make the iPhone holder for my car. It's one thing I've got in my mind. If maybe I can make a couple little sculptures with it. If I can, if I design a trailer hitch plug for the receiver on my car, and maybe I can create, I'm thinking I can print certain designs, and then I'm able to do concrete casting and inlay things because I can 3D print it in reverse and maybe make some molds with this thing. Those are what I'm hoping to do. It's, a 4.8 by 4.8 by 4.8 of space that I can print things. It's just, like I said, for $220, and you buy filament for $22 a roll for it's non-proprietary. This thing will do ABS. This thing will do PLA. This will do suspended PLAs. And what that means is I can get a PLA filament that has wood particles suspended in it. So, in theory, I can actually print objects in wood. And as I've mentioned many times, wood is kind of one of my side hobbies is in crafting with wood. They're suspended. I was reading about a new filament that is a magnetic iron, and the objective behind it is so that you can print with it. And it's a little rough on your printer nozzle, but when you're done printing, you can patina it just like you would metal. So you can create rusty objects. You can print an object and then rust it and make it look aged. Like I said, it's not the end all thing. I probably will end up buying a $3,000 or $4,000 printer in the next 12 to 24 months. But this is the tool that will teach me what do I want in that $2,000 or $3,000 printer. It's my education without having to drive to the local makerspace and hope I get time on their 3D printer, etc. And the makerspace is going to cost me $50 a month to belong to. So if this thing lasts me 4 months, I've got 4 months education on 3D printing. And that was my theory behind buying it. It's a 3.5 star review on Amazon. There's a good community behind it. There's certain things they say you've got to do right away. There's a bed rewire because they run the wires incorrectly in it, and you'll wear them out. But there's flaws with it. It's $220. What do you got to lose? And like I said, with the Black Friday deal or Cyber Monday deal, I got $154 delivered to my door. I don't know how I can go wrong, and it's technology that has just fascinated me for years.
Do you already have it?
It'll be delivered on Saturday, so I can't give you a review of it yet. I'm sure maybe not by next recording session, but within 2 recording sessions, I'll have probably run a bunch of stuff through it and let you know how good it does. But like I said, even the YouTube videos will tell you where some of the shortcomings are and where some of the good is in it, and what kind of resolution we get off of it.
Cool. That's something I've been looking at.
So you said you're going to be able to possibly do some sculptures. Maybe, down the road, one of the giveaways will be a beautiful sculpture of John, Will, and Derek and no driving gloves. Nice little. Maybe you can figure out how to
There
do
you
bobbleheads
go.
of us.
I was thinking of more like a bust, like Mount Rushmore-esque.
Oh, I like that.
Our 3 heads and no hands, no driving gloves.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! No driving gloves, not no driving hands. I need my hands.
If this podcast goes well, I just need my mouse and my microphone.
How are you going to operate your mouse?
What I want to say is very politically incorrect, but
family
Okay.
show, family show.
With my stump.
With your hook.
I'll print me a new hand.
There you go.
There we go.
What you got, Will?
Well, this is a gift that any car guy would appreciate.
I don't like it.
Well, I don't care. There's a company called Dynamat, and they sell a lot of sound deadening type of stuff. We use them a lot in the shop. It's a really good product. When you're driving down the road in your old car, and it's just hot, and the air condition just can't really cool it, and you get all the road noise, and when you shut the door, it sounds like an old car. You can use this Dynamat, and it really quietens everything down. When you shut the door, it sounds more like a new car shutting the door. Going down the road, it's quiet. You can have a conversation. Your air condition don't have to work near as hard to keep you cool. We use them. We use Dynamat pretty well exclusively on all of our builds, and they also have a product called Dynadeck, and it's a rubber mat. So if you've got a truck that you're building and you want to, just kind of a rubber mat, throw it in there. This is a rubber mat with the insulation on the bottom side of the rubber mat. If you look in that gold 32 that we did, that's actually what is in the floor. There's no insulation under it, and it's a quiet, nice ride. well, I say quiet. It does basically have open headers, so there ain't much quiet about it. Um, but if it wasn't in there, it'd be a lot hotter, and you would hear more road noise. So that's just a good gift and a good product, and it may be something that your buddy or your husband is not really thinking about when he's building his car is a good quality insulation to put down before it goes to the interior shop, and you can you can talk on your phone a little bit easier, and it just makes it a lot more enjoyable experience when you drive your hot rod if it's quieter and you can hear things and have a conversation with the person next to you.
Now, let me date myself on that because I was doing car stereo just about the time Dynamat, I think, came to market
Yep.
in the late 80s.
Yep.
And that's where it came out, and it was an expensive product. And I learned to install Dynamat differently than they install Dynamat now. And they say, take a 6-inch wide, 2-foot long strip and put it on the panel. Now I know we encase the cars in this stuff. And I've used it in some restorations over the years to help quiet the resonance, especially in like aluminum bodied sports cars that have no sound deadening. They might have a piece of cloth or leather, but they have nothing to stop that reverberation that echoes through these cars. And I'll be honest, Dynamats, like you said, it's a great product for quieting and reducing that. I'd never heard of Dynadeck. I just looked it up and I go, got a couple places I could even use that. So I guess we're all learning here tonight.
Yep, good stuff. But let me tell you, if you put that Dynamite Extreme down, don't plan on pulling it up. It's there. And the Dynamite Extreme is actually black. So it's that kind of a tar substance with an aluminum film over the top of it. And you're not going to pull it up. If you do pull it up, you're gonna be working hard to do it. So make sure when you put it down and you roll it down good and tight that that's where you want it.
So Dynamat makes the car quieter, makes the doors quieter when you shut them like a new car. Why don't you just buy a new car? Isn't all the fun of driving an old car all the noises it makes?
I agree with that too. There are certain cars that are built that we build that that's not what the guy wants. Um, but most of the cars that we build, they want their old car to handle, to drive, to stop, to start, to go down the road more like a new car. That kind of gives us a little bit of an edge when it comes to that. So, I mean, a lot of these guys will drive their cars to car shows in 1,000 miles away. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, if it wasn't kind of halfway quiet and air conditioned blowing, and my wife and I could have a conversation, there is no way she would go.
I'll speak from experience on that too. Is it's really tough when you're giving a guy back his $300 or $400 or $500,000 investment in a car, and it sounds like he's in a beer keg going down the road, or when the door shuts, you're afraid to slam it because it seems so tinny and fragile. It's like crushing a Pabst Blue Ribbon can. That gives it that nice, excuse me, but BMW and Mercedes thunk to when the door closes. It doesn't, and it just imparts some quality in that. The stuff Will builds, um, the 6 figures that I'm sure his cars get up into, some of the restorations I've done, it makes the owner feel that much better about him because I'm gonna say I had the conversation. Some of these guys are building the car to take. They're not necessarily a car person, and this sounds bad, but they do the restoration so that they can go to the Saturday night dinner at Pebble Beach, or they can get invited to this party the day before the concours, and they don't necessarily the car's the ticket in, and they need it to feel like their Range Rover, or they need it to feel like I said, their BMW or their Jaguar. So Dynamat serves its purpose, but it's great for car stereos if you want to, thump and not hear your license plate rattle and things like that. We'll say that's the true use for Dynamat.
Agreed. And I think they've actually ventured into the
Well, Will is dilly dallying.
well.
Yeah, that got really hard to say. It's like a tongue twister. Will is dilly dallying and doing whatever it is he's doing over there. I agree with the Dynamat conversation. I just had to play a little bit of devil's advocate there with Will and see, how he responded. But I've driven some cars that have Dynamat in them for, friends that have had cars built and had Dynamat put in, stuff like that. And I'll agree. I mean, it makes the car sound a lot quieter. It makes it give it that new car feel when you shut the doors, things like that. And, I mean, it's a great product that really serves the purpose that it was made for. And that's fantastic. And, in a case like what Will does and what especially the high end hot rod community does, it's an amazing product. And yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I think Will, that's a fantastic one to talk about.
What I was going to say was Dynamat actually has stuff for your house now. I have not used any of it. I think it's more for your. Well, they have an under carpet pad and stuff like that. Something to block noise between rooms and floors, and stuff for your speakers in your house as well. So they actually have stuff for your house now too. So
I wasn't aware of that, and I'm looking at having insulation added to the house, and I talked to them about adding it in between rooms because I like my rooms to be quiet, and I don't like hearing my guests in the guest room and things like that. That's a neat product, and if
So that's interesting because now you can have Dynamat in your house, under your carpet, in your walls, things like that, and you can have a Tesla roof. So here pretty soon, I mean, car guys, we're going to be able to build our house just buying stuff from the automotive companies that are out there.
that's right.
it's going to give the tiny home show on DIY Network a whole new.
Now that would be interesting. You could make one heck of a garage. You could have a solar roof from Tesla. You'd have Dynamat walls. I mean, you'd have a great garage, solar powered, quiet as could be. That'd be pretty fantastic.
It sounds expensive too.
Well, I wasn't talking about price. These are Christmas gifts. Remember, it doesn't matter how much they cost. Somebody else is buying them for you.
That's true. Santa Claus.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn for my my third one
I
here?
believe so.
It is your turn.
All right. Well, this is the one that I personally don't own yet, and being a car guy, working on cars here at home, working on people's cars at their garages, things like that, and working on cars at work, uh, we had something pretty cool happen not long ago at work, and that was that Sonic Tools decided to basically set us up in our preservation, restoration, maintenance area with a very nice cabinet of Sonic Tools. And for anybody that doesn't know, Sonic Tools is the official tool of Corvette racing. That's kind of how we got connected with them. And I had never personally heard of Sonic Tools prior to this situation with the Corvette Museum and Sonic Tools and Corvette Racing. They came in, set up a big workstation for us, loaded it out with tools that we actually got to sit down and pick and say, these are the kind of tools we use on a daily basis, working on the cars, keeping the collection up. And I think they're fantastic tools. I've used tools from all the other major tool companies. There's out there's Snap-on, there's Matco, there's Mac, there's Right Tools. There's a lot of tool companies in the world. I mean, I put Sonic right up there with a bunch of them. I've used them now on the cars in the collection at the museum, and they're well built. They're a quality tool. We haven't had one break. eh, And even when we were talking to them about setting up, with their tools, I basically said, "Hey, we're using a ratchet one day, and the wall of a socket cracks. What do we do?" And they basically said, "Go online, you answer 4 questions, and we send you a new socket." If it's a ratchet, same thing. We might actually send you an envelope with postage to send it back to us, because we might want to research why it broke and see if we can make the tool better. But they said usually it's just easier for us to just send you the new tool and call it a day. It's actually sneakily, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but a few months ago, I also got a bunch of catalogs, Sonic tool catalogs from Sonic, and I might have given my dad one to peruse for his shop, and also, kind of secretly, hey, these might be a good Christmas or birthday gift down the road. Just a nice set of Sonic screwdrivers, maybe a socket ratchet set. Yeah. And
No Doctor Who stuff.
Did you say sneakily?
yeah, I couldn't think
Is
of a
that
good
what you
word.
said?
Yeah, I did. I can't think of the right word for it. Okay.
Sneakily.
I like to make
I
up
think
words. I think I made up a few words on this podcast. Okay.
I think that's a good word. I like it. Sneakily.
See, you're gonna start using it more often.
We got to get that in the dictionary.
Well, we just need to write our own dictionary.
Oh Lord, the Yankee Southern Twang Dictionary.
There we go. But before we digress too far on dictionary and words, I think, like I say, I've used a lot of different tools, and Sonic is a pretty fantastic tool. So I have no problem saying that if you're out there looking for a tool to, or a tool set or tools to buy for your husband, your wife, your family member, the guy down the street working on his car, whatever, I'd go on Amazon. Their Sonic tools can be bought through there and buy a set. And they have reasonable pricing. I mean, pricing that is similar to the pricing of other quality tools that are on the market. So it's not like they're outrageously expensive. They're not your cheaper tools that you'd buy at Harbor Freight, but if you want a quality tool, then you're going to be looking at something that costs more money. So, and I'm betting probably neither of you have experienced Sonic tools. I mean, they're just recently being sold in America. I mean, within probably the last, I'm not even sure. I didn't ask them, but my guess is maybe 5 to 10 years.
Well, I'll tell you something I see I like right now, and that is the color coded Allen wrench set. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the stuff online while you were talking about it too, and the pricing's pretty reasonable. It's a little bit north of what Cobalt and Husky's going to run you now, which to me is the quality tool that's kind of replaced the Craftsman tool, and it's about half the price of the Snap-on. I was looking at a metric wrench set that was $250. I think my Snap-on wrench set was just about $600. So half the price of Snap-on if it's the same quality. You really can't knock it. There's a nice 37-piece tool set here with some wrenches and 3/8 ratchets for $230. So it's a couple of bucks, but really get what you pay for when it comes to tools. And I remember breaking it wasn't even Harbor Freight, but that entry level cheapo tools, and kind of cracked open a few knuckles when the wrench came apart on me. You just never think of a box end wrench coming apart, but they do. So
What
That was a cheap wrench. They're a really nice tool, and really nice tool boxes and cabinets and everything. And like you say, for the price, it's really a good buy.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Derek and I chatted a little bit before the show, and he had the same pick I did for one of our Christmas list things. And I'll be honest, in full disclosure, I've worked closely with this company for the last 4 or 5 years. You'll find a YouTube video with me kind of endorsing their product. I have had excellent luck with this product over the years. I think Derek's used it in the past. Very supportive, very nice company, very nice people to work with. But it's a rust remover product, and I've always been against this chemical stuff, etc. I know you've got to sandblast, glass bead, media blast, whatever, to truly remove rust. But this product it's called Metal Rescue. It's an environmentally safe product. You can technically pour it down the drain. I think before you actually derust in it. When you derust, I don't know how it contaminates it. It's a substance. It's a liquid form, and you immerse your rusted part in it and let it sit for a period of time, and you will pull out a piece of metal that all the rust is neutralized and removed. I've used it with preservation work. I've used it with restoration work. I've used it doing one of the examples I've used it on was some A-arms on a Lotus that we were preserving to its state because the last time the car was raced was in 1962. And I utilized the product on the A-arms where some of the chrome was coming off and they had begun to rust. And I was able to soak the arms and it neutralized the rust. I didn't have to replate it. I didn't have to do anything. It kind of just preserved it, but it it eliminated the rust, so I didn't have to worry about further deterioration. And then when I was done, I used another substance called Incralac to basically shellac over the piece. It's a Incralac, something you use in the conservation world to do basically that, and it sealed out air. And that car's been on display now for 6 or 7 years with no return of the rust. Used it on if you search out the YouTube video, if you Google my name on YouTube, it's under my name. I only got 5 or 6 videos up there, and it shows me using it. We built a car wash type thing because at the time, Metal Rescue, it only works if the part is immersed in Metal Rescue. And we did a Lotus 12 race car frame, and I built this car wash with a sprinkler system. And over the course of 24 hours, we just constantly sprayed Metal Rescue on it. Needless to say, they were supplying the product, but instead of digging a swimming pool and filling it with 500 gallons of this stuff and dipping the car frame in it, I built this little car wash, put the frame in it, sprayed the Metal Rescue on it for 24 hours, and at the end of 24 hours, it neutralized all the rust, preserved all the original paint that was remaining, even some of the pen and chalk marks that were added as a new frame was created for this car. That's a whole nother story. And use 7 gallons of Metal Rescue. So you can buy 5 gallons of Metal Rescue for like $96. So for $120 in product and building this plywood car wash, we had a very, a preserved car. Before I get to that, they have a product called Dry Coat, and you spray it over the bare metal, and it allows you to, they give it a year shelf life. So if you Metal Rescue your product, you have basically bare metal that's ready to rust. You spray the Dry Coat on it, and it protects it for a year. This car frame, the Lotus 12, I did 5 years ago. And once we were done, I sprayed the Dry Coat on, put it on display. It's been on display for 5 years with the Dry Coat, and this is not endorsing or saying you can do this with Dry Coat. For 5 years in a museum environment where we encourage people not to touch, but things get touched, we have no signs of rust reappearing on that car either, or that frame. So their products are really good, and they just introduced a gel, which you paint the gel on with a paintbrush, cover it with saran wrap, wait a few hours and peel the saran wrap off and rinse the panel off, and it should have neutralized the rust. I have yet to try the gel. I have a couple samples really for all three of us hosts to try, and I just haven't distributed it between all of us. But it's a product I like, very inexpensive, very easy to have, not as messy as media blasting, and the product just flat works. It really amazes me that this product works as well as it's, and they advertise, and I support them. And I would say if I had rusty parts every day, I'd use it on a daily basis. But when I see rust, that's the first thing I look at. Can I utilize this product before going to media blasting and that? Because media blasting is a destructive process when's all said and done.
Yeah, and I'll jump in, John, because I think it'd be also interesting to point out that I don't know anyone at the company. I've never had contact with them. Uh, I haven't done YouTube videos with them, anything like that. And I used it in previous jobs, again in the conservation preservation world. The cool thing about it in the world that John and I have lived in and live in, we're always worried about the acidity levels, the alkaline levels of products that we're using. We're really getting into the chemistry of things. And this is a fairly neutral product. They use, certain chemicals that keep the pH fairly neutral in the product. I've used it actually in a way that after talking to John for a while, I don't think the company ever really thought about it being used in the way I used it. And that is, I've worked on a lot of early cars, brass era stuff, horseless carriage, and a lot of those are what are called jug engines. The actual top of the engine that the pistons are in, the cylinders, is actually, it's like a big jug sitting over top of either individual jugs on each cylinder. You can have jugs that are two cylinders, or you can have a complete mono jug, which is all four cylinders or all whatever, how many cylinders it is within. And these things usually don't have any type of removable head. They might have the spark plug that you can pull out to get to the top of the cylinder. And then if you're lucky, some of them have plugs that you can pull out to access a little bit of the water jacket. And sometimes they'll have a larger opening across the top to get into the top of the water jacket, because without taking the jug off completely, you're not getting in there. And I had some of these cars that were just packed full of basically a rusty mud substance. And basically what we did is, using a coat hanger, just kind of get as much of it broken free and moved out, and used a vacuum to suck out as much as possible. And then the remaining corrosion product or rust, we literally would fill the water jacket with metal rescue and let it sit for 24 hours, maybe a little longer, and then drain it out, neutralize it, and have a very nice, clean water jacket, cooling system inside that jug that was now able to let the water move freely and cool the engine properly. And I've had great luck with it. We used it on some other stuff, like John would say rusty parts, things like that. But that was what really kind of impressed me about the product, was the way it actually worked on kind of cleaning up that corrosion within these jug engines in the cooling system. And I, like I say, John said, we both thought about this product, and John coming from the side of having used it and somewhat endorsed it before, and me coming from, it's just a product I bought off the shelf and used. So,
I had I think you gave me some of it, John, not too long ago. Just a little bit of it. I just wanted to see how good it would work. And I had this chain. I don't know. It was probably my great grandfather's chain, if you'll know the truth. We've used it to pull out somebody stuck in the ditch across the street, or stuck in a mud hole, or whatever. It's been four-wheeler riding. I mean, it's been everywhere with me. Gets left outside. It's probably hadn't spent the night inside. one or two times over the last 40 or 50 years. So it was it was pretty rusty, and I was like, man, let's throw that chain in there and see what happens. And I can't remember exactly how long it sat in there, but we put it in a bucket, and then when we pulled it out, it looked like you had stuck it in the sandblaster and sandblasted it. You know, I'm sure if the metal would have been new metal with just some rust on it, it probably would have looked just like new metal. But this thing's been beat up, and man, we pulled that chain out of that bucket, and we were amazed. I mean, there was not a spot of rust on it anywhere, and what was still had paint on it, not very much paint at all. The paint was still there. Pretty awesome product.
Like I said, in full disclosure, I'm not a paid endorser of them, but through affiliations, I've worked with them for a while, and I think it's one of the best products I've come across in my restoration career, and I'd say that even if they weren't working with me on various projects. But I think with that one, well, everything else we mentioned in the show is just our like I said, personal experiences. This last one, give it a try, and I think you'll be impressed. But everything else, if we are able to do an Amazon affiliate link, we'll post those on Facebook over the next week and a half or so. I think, we've covered 9, 10, 12 different products tonight. I can't remember how many. Everything, well, like I said, we'll put them up on Facebook. They are affiliate links. So if you do click and buy through that link, we'll get a small kickback, full disclosure there. It helps keep the podcast going. Again, part of this is giving away the Amazon gift cards. We do encourage you to try Amazon Prime also. If you're not doing Prime, especially here at Christmas season, you can do a 30-day free trial of Prime. So you have Prime all through the Christmas season, then cancel your membership. It's $99 a year. I'm a Prime member. I don't know about the other two guys, or are you either one of you Amazon Prime members?
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
So we're all, I guess, Amazon Prime members. $99 a year. I think most people, a lot of people are now. You get the video package, music package. They say 2-day shipping. I'm gonna throw Amazon under the bus here, and 2-day shipping has become 3-day shipping a lot anymore. I ordered something on Monday, and I don't get it until Thursday. That's 3-day shipping for me. It's also Christmas, so it could be the UPS trucks running till 10 o'clock cause some of that. And like I say, that's all the product stuff. Let me see if I can pull up that name that won the gift card this week, and feel free to comment again in the next week or two or anytime. And we're going to give away 2 more gift cards over the next 2 episodes. The winner tonight is Tim Phillips. We'll be in contact with Tim probably before the show airs, and go ahead and email him a gift card for, like I say, $10, and just our way of giving back, thanking you for listening to us, and maybe buying part of a Christmas gift for you or someone else. So with that said, I'm out of here.
I might as well leave too.
See you later, John.